All right, we teased it yesterday. Carl and I talked about the prospective Chicago Bears and the Beast article defensive end. I'll go over who the Bears have met with, who they've shown interest in. We'll get into it on this one. I appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, this is going to be more compact to the point. We're going to get right down to it. With this one, we're going to look at the edges. We're going to look at who the Bears have met with at the Combine top 30 visit now. This is going to be for the edge position, so these guys on the outside. And we do need help. You see, last year in 90-man camp, we had 15 guys on the roster. Right now we have 12, and we only have 6 if you count Jamry Chroma as an edge. We should take at least 8. So I would expect us to draft an edge. It appears we're going to draft an edge very high, as well as potentially pick one up in undrafted free agency, or maybe pick one up later in the draft. This is such a stacked defensive end class. We could do many, many things in this class. So we've already gone over the defensive tackles with the Beast article and where the Bears rank with them. Now we're going over the edges. So same format as last time, just to give you guys a little breakdown. Right here next to the player will show how the Bears have met with them. So James Pierce Jr. will be there's 5 of them that the Bears have met with or shown interest in so far. James Pierce Jr., defensive end 7 overall on Dane Brugler's positional rank. The Bears met with him at the Combine. 36th overall projection in this year's draft. So if this is the lowest, the Bears are looking very high on their board to pick up a defensive end. They've shown interest in 5 of them. And the lowest one is the 36th overall ranked pick, according to Dane Brugler. So this is the measurements and a little bit of summary on these players. We'll get into my thing, and then I'm actually going to bring up the Beast article on this one for these guys and give you guys a little rundown. So here's where Brugler has him ranked 36. The overall consensus, though, is that James Pierce will be right around 20, 21-ish range. A little bit of controversy with him, maybe just a little bit. Good pressure, good run defender, good measurables, little bit light is the only thing you see right there. So James Pierce is a really good prospect. I don't know if anybody should be complain too much if he's picked. I think you might want a trade down scenario if that's the case. Maybe you're looking for him to fall at 39. We'll see what happens. Let's get this thing rolling up and all right, there's nothing interesting or exciting about James Pierce. I'm just teasing, but he is very vanilla. You look at the profile here, you can pause it if you want. I'm not going to read this whole thing to all of you guys. Grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, loved Cam Newton, blah, blah, blah. Played some offense, played some defense. Nothing real interesting here. I think the only thing really different or crazy is he did have an arrest on a traffic charge, speeding, driving on a suspended license, blah, blah, blah. All charges later dismissed. Nothing crazy in there, though, but you can see the strengths and the weaknesses. Tall, athletic build and long arms, explosive first step with fast hands and feet to escape blocks. Things we already know about him. He's fun to watch on tape. Very exciting prospect. Gains ground in a hurry to beat tackles to the corner. Chop rip hands are heavy and help pry open blockers' shoulders. Rushes to depth of the pocket and works back towards the ball. Converts speed to power because of immediate acceleration, regardless of the angle. Shows basic understanding of steps to affect the tackle and create two-way go opportunities. Downhill speed tests reaction quickness of interior blockers guarding the A-gap. Shows general idea of how to use hands in run game. Productive, ranks top 10 in school history with 19.5 career sacks. His weaknesses, lean, leggy player, but it has inconsistent bend at the top of his rush. Tight through hips, limiting smoothness of redirects. Flyby rusher, misses plays in backfield because he's out of control. Always looking to time up the snap, which will backfire at him sometimes. Flagged for offsides 5 times in 2024. Now, take these weaknesses with a grain of salt. Everyone's going to have some weaknesses, and they've got to point out some weaknesses. So take it with a grain of salt because he's really a good prospect. Pad level is inconsistent, gets him in trouble in the run game. Solid play strength, but can be neutralized by powerful blockers who cinch him up. Streaky lockout and tardy getting off blocks to influence the play. There's the arrest we talked about. And then interview process will be critical. NFL scout said, I want to be convinced that he loves this. So that was interesting. Here's his summary, and you can see he's a second-round prospect. 36th overall. So there is a shot here that he could fall to the Bears at 39. Summary, a 2-year starter at Tennessee. Pierce played the LEO left outside position, and defensive coordinator Tim Banks' scheme, primarily lining up out wide, despite being in and out of the lineup. 35.5 defensive snaps per game in 2023, 35.7 in 2024. He led the Vols in sacks and tackles for loss as a sophomore, both sophomore and junior. His 107 pressures over the past 2 seasons ranks first in the SEC, number 6 in FBS. Although not a technician, Pierce is a fast, linear athlete who can win races to the edge or collapse the pocket with force behind his extended upward levers. 23% pass rush win rate, 2024, second best in FBS. He was steady with his effort against the run in college, but more will be needed of him to hold up against NFL competition. Overall, Pierce is upright and frenetic in his play style, but his blend of explosiveness and power creates consistent disruption as a pass rusher. He shows promise in the run game too. If he works to maximize his talent, he will be a productive pro. So I think he fits more of a 3-4, in my opinion. A lot of those things you hear there at the end, especially lining up in LEO on the outside more. I don't know. Up to the Bears on this one, but I wouldn't be upset with James Pierce. I just think the Bears are probably going to go with a bigger defensive end. All right, next up we have Mykel Williams, Georgia. Bears met with him. You can see right there at the Combine. So they met with him as well at the Combine. Most of these visits do come from the Combine. Hey, guys, real quick, if you don't mind, smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Share it with your friends. Push the notification button. A lot of work goes into these. I try to make it as applicable to Bears content as I can. So we're focusing on the 5 the Bears have met with. We're going to go through all these positions before the draft. We'll add any that they meet with before then because we don't know all the top 30 visits yet. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Let's get into Mykel Williams. So Mykel Williams, the Bears met with him, 21st overall ranked prospect by Dane Brugler, defensive end 5 on his board. So you'll see he had limited playing time, though. They split reps at Georgia a lot. You'll see that with Jalon Walker, too, when we get to him. Only 249 pass rush opportunities. Took advantage of it. 26 total pressures, 5 sacks. Pretty consistent. 5 sacks, 6 sacks, 6 sacks. Pretty consistent across the board. A good run defender, which is important to me. Decent size, 260 pounds, 6'5". So the Bears can work with that. You can see consensus all scouts ranking overall 19.7 is where they have him being drafted. Dane Brugler has him at 21st. Again, ideal scenario. Maybe the Bears are planning a little bit of a trade back. I don't know. Maybe they love their guy and they want to take him a little bit early. You can see some places like Todd McShay had him 4th overall. Some places, though, have him going a little bit later, like PFF and PFN. Who knows what's going to happen until we get to draft day, but I think the Bears are doing a good job of leaving their options open. So we'll get this thing rolling again. All right, Mykel Williams, pretty vanilla here as well. Always been a high prospect and always a good size prospect as well. You can see he was right here. Also played offense, primarily as a blocking tight end. He earned numerous All-American honors in 2021. Williams was also a standout wrestler. You guys know I love my wrestlers. At Hardaway, initially the 220-pound division as a sophomore and junior before moving up to the 285-pound division as a senior. So 285, for those who don't understand wrestling, 285 is heavyweight. Doesn't mean he weighed 285. In heavyweight, every other position in wrestling, every other weight class, you have to be under the weight. So 220, he'd have to be under 220. Heavyweight, you just have to be under 285. So it's a little different how that works. So it doesn't mean he weighed 285. I saw someone had that question earlier. It doesn't mean he weighs that. So everything else here, very high prospect, trained with defensive line specialist Chuck Smith, who now serves as Baltimore Ravens pass rush coach. Connection to the NFL there. Always a high prospect, though. Second in his class behind Walter Nolan, 2022 recruiting class. So always a high prospect, always very productive. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears did take him. But you can see down here at the bottom, he is the 21st overall prospect. So same thing going through the strengths and weaknesses. Looks the part with an NFL frame and arms, the length of an anaconda. Uses crazy length and raw strength to jar blockers and force through bodies. Promising bull, swipe and push-pull maneuvers. Violently tears through tight end and blocks. Loose, flexible athlete with long strides to capture the corner. He models his game after Myles Garrett. Able to slip and circle around guards from inside alignment. Closes fast on quarterback when he has an open lane. Functional strength to stay square and anchor down to stop the run. Smart read defender and maintains gap discipline. That to me is important for the Chicago Bears. Light on his feet to drop in flat, bat down passes, or track down screen targets. Flash's secondary motor to chase down from the backside. Defensive coaches cross-trained him at multiple positions in front seven. Served as a team captain for 4 games in 2024. Strong character feedback from coaches. Kirby Smart. He's very versatile for us in the terms of on the field, but there's no greater value than what he does in the locker room. He's a great leader for us. So you hear these types of things, and I'm starting to get sold. Bears trade down and take him. Weaknesses. Doesn't have consistent rush plan or arsenal of secondary moves. Too much wasted movement with his hands, reverts back to his strength. Gets too upright at snap, which allows blockers to get underneath and halt him. Low-end tackle production. Stats don't match his traits. Played in deep rotation and averaged just 33.5 defensive snaps per game in 2024, 29 in 2023, 27 in 2022. Missed 2 games as part of several others because of grade 2 high left ankle sprain. Missed 2023 spring practices after aggravating a previous foot injury, which would require surgery. Or did require surgery, sorry. So his summary. He is a 2-year starter at Georgia. Williams played jack, edge, rusher in head coach Kirby Smart's scheme, aligning all over in the front 7 from 3-5 technique to stand-up outside linebacker. A consensus top 10 recruit out of high school, he made an immediate impact as a freshman, several key plays versus Ohio State in the playoffs, and consistently flashed over his career. His junior season wasn't the true breakout year many expected from on the stat sheet, but he set career best in sacks and tackles for loss despite dealing with left ankle sprain that he re-injured multiple times during the season. Williams has a rare mix of bend and length for a pass rusher and can be battering ram when he wants to be. The NFL teams want to see him develop finesse and more easily accessible counters in his rush attack. Though there are plenty of examples on tape of Williams maximizing his length and power advantages to push the pocket or set the edge, he needs to do it more consistently for quicker wins and block sheds. Overall, Williams is more toolsy than nuanced and needs to develop a more unified pass rush plan. Coaches will help him with that in the next level. The individual traits, length, strength, explosiveness, promising toughness, and football character, however, are reasons to bet on his upside. Similar in ways to Jason Pierre-Paul, he projects as an NFL starter on the edge. Overall, Williams is more toolsy than nuanced and needs to develop more unified pass rush plan. The individual traits, length, strength, explosiveness, promising toughness, and football character, however, are reasons to bet on his upside. Similar in ways to Jason Pierre-Paul, he projects as an NFL starter on the edge. Grade 1/2, number 21 overall. All right, 4th on Dane Brugler's list and 10th overall in this draft is Mike Green. Someone that I'm going to be honest, I've been a little overly critical of him because of the small school, but at the same time, when he's playing the higher production, he's only really had 1 game, Ohio State, where he flashed some brilliance at that next level. I needed to see more big game competition of him, but his production is elite. And we like elite production on here. So 10th overall rank, 6'3", 251 pounds, defensive end 4 in this draft, and the Bears met with him at the Combine as well. So here's what everyone's talking about. That's 17 sacks right there. That production is just off the charts. So run defensive grade of 90.2, a defensive grade overall of 92.4, pass rush, run defense, 91 percentile. So he looks really good there. 40 time, 4.57. 3-cone drill, really good as well. Weight's a little concerning, but he's not super small. I mean, last year's class, that weight would have been pretty average, actually. So all scouts average ranked of 22 in this draft class. Another trade down scenario, or just take them at 10. We'll see what the Bears end up deciding to do. Let's bring on the film and the Mr. Beast, though, as we always do. Not Mr. Beast, the Beast article. We get that rolling. And then, so Mike Green, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here because if you go back to the video yesterday, Carl and I did, we actually used this as an example of what the Beast article does. So we read that already. We kind of talked about his transfer from Virginia to Marshall. We're just going to go over the strengths and weaknesses here and talk about where he ranks. So strengths: displays athletic twitch and play violence to live in backfield, linear burst to get upfield, and explosive lateral steps to create his own rush lanes. Great feel for cross chop moves and balance to top of rush. Credits wrestling background for helping him play from low leverage positions. Able to forklift blockers and create force from immediate acceleration. Bends with body control to dip the corner. can do standing backflips. I guess that's important. Sets the edge with purpose, uses upward hands to out-leverage blockers, competes with physicality to work off wham, lead blocks, and finish ball carrier. High activity rate helps separate him. Strong character feedback from coaches at Virginia and Marshall. Eye-popping production in 2024. Number 1 in sacks this last year. His arms and his length is a little bit concerning for me, but that'll be up for teams to see what they see. Weaknesses. Lacks elite size measurements, average arm length, smaller hands, worked hard to get weight above 250 pounds, but doesn't have frame to get much bigger. And they say he doesn't play at 250. He's really like a 240-pound guy, but he got up for the combine. Can be engulfed by larger blockers and blotted out in the run game. Understands gap responsibilities, but occasionally can be late responding to inside run lanes. Plays in overdrive at times, overrunning ball carriers and wearing himself out. Not as comfortable working in reverse. Only 1 season of starting experience, beat up on mediocre competition in the Sun Belt, played well in 2024 Ohio State tape, but had only 1 pressure. NFL teams will put his background under the microscope. Suspended at start of second year at Virginia. Following sexual assault allegation, Green was not charged and case was suspended. Green was denied any wrongdoing, sexual assault allegation while in high school, no formal charges filed. Shortly before signing day, Virginia requested he signed a zero tolerance policy. So there is the I'm starting to see it here with this kid. I'm starting to see it with Mike Green. There's some high upside potential. I'm seeing why some fans in this fan base are high on Mike Green. I'm starting to understand it. So kind of a recap of this video too, but summary, a 1-year starter at Marshall. Green was a stand-up edge rusher, field side, and defensive coordinator Jason Samore's 4-man front. After showing flashes in 2023 tape, he emerged as an All-American defensive lineman in 2024, leading the Herd to a 10-win season and a Sun Belt championship. He finished the season ranked first in FBS in sacks, tackles by a defensive lineman, and sack yardage. A high-activity pass rusher, Green explodes off the ball to win in multiple ways, showing bend, speed, and acceleration force to work through contact. Despite his lack of elite body length, his rush move arsenal expanded, and the 2023 season progressed, and he learned how to be effective against frequent ships by running backs and tight ends. He went into the 2024 season focused on developing against the run. That paid off in a major way as he showed an improved stack and shed and better overall gap awareness. Overall, Green is a twitchy athlete with burst and body control to win one-on-one as a pass rusher and set violent edge in the run game. As long as his character checks out, he is one of the top pass rush prospects in this draft class with the disruptive ability to be an NFL starter. First round overall projected around 10th is what Dane Brugler has for him. I do think that character concerns, the multiple alleged sexual assault allegations may hurt him. They may come back to hurt him. We'll have to wait and see once the draft happens. I still think I prefer the trade down scenario, but I'm seeing, the vision here at 10 that we could take Mike Green, we could take Mykel Williams, we could take Kenneth Grant. One of these guys, we might just have to snag him up at 10 because there's a lot of really valuable players here. A lot of people are trying to undervalue it and say, well, there's not as much talent here. But when you look at some of these guys, Mike Green, there's a ton of talent popping off the tape with this kid. And you could even trade down and possibly still get him. So I don't know what the Bears are going to do. I'm not trying to profess that I do know what the Bears are going to do. But I do know the options are open to them. There are options. One of those options right here, defensive end 3, 9th overall ranked by Dane Brugler, Shemar Stewart. The Bears have shown extreme interest in him. Top 30 visit, as well as a combine visit. So met with him at the combine and top 30. They see some value in Shemar Stewart. I know in the fan base, it's making things a little concerning to some people. They don't necessarily love it because the lack of production, and the lack of production is eye-glaring. You cannot ignore it. And this is PFF too, so their stats are a little skewed when it comes to sacks. They count half sacks as a sack, which I kind of like because if you're in on a sack and you're sharing it with somebody, you're still responsible for it. But he only had 4.5 total over his 3 years in college. Now, you see those first couple of years, only less than 200 pass rush opportunities each of those 2 years, but you can blame it on scheme. You can blame it on the way he was played outside linebacker sometimes, played inside, played different spots on the line. Wasn't always his job to get after the quarterback initially and off the burst, but Man, that lack of production is glaring, but athletic freak for sure. 40 time under 5 seconds, a vert. It's all these blue ones, wingspan, broad jump, vert. Good size, 270 pounds, 6'5". He's everything you want in an athletic specimen of a defensive end. So again, we'll bring up the film, we'll bring up the Beast article, and I just don't see anything eye-popping on the film either. But he is an athletic specimen, so there's something to be said for that. All right, Shemar Stewart's bio background here is actually kind of fun to read. Never even interested in football, even though he was a big kid in parentheses. And then he was convinced by a teacher at age 12 to give football a shot. Then he started from there. So that's kind of an interesting background. He's got Jamaican descent from his grandmother. So kind of fun to read this if you want to pause it and kind of check it out. But big defensive end, 6'5", 267. This is the one we talk about where the physical attributes and the size don't necessarily match the production, the numbers, the stats on tape. So a little bit concerning for everyone. You can slow that down a little bit and kind of check that out a little bit. Always a big prospect, though, behind Walter Nolan and Mykel Williams in 2022 as the number 3 overall prospect. So these guys are coming to fruition here in this year. This has always been considered that big class. Everyone always expected this to be that big class. So here we are at the draft, and it's that time. So his strengths: rare athletic balance and fluidity for a 285-pounder. Explosive off the ball with the flexibility to turn the corner and flatten. Uses long arms and natural power to stab and separate from initial blocks. Able to shake free with a cross chop, club rip, or a variety of different swipes. Rangy player and doesn't labor in transitions, allowing him to chase down ball carriers. Smart, contained player and sets a hard edge. Uses wide base and body flexibility to root himself at the point of attack, rarely pushed out of his gap. Lateral quickness helps him blow up backside runs. Surprises pulling blockers and ball carriers with closing burst. Plays his butt off for all 4 quarters and competes with competitive edges. Nicknamed the Menace. So this is one of the reasons teams like him is because of his hustle. Teams like that, but the stats just haven't added up, and it concerns casual fans like you and me. Versatile skill set, which allows him to play multiple positions in front, 3, 4-eye, 5, 7 technique, all across the front of the line there. His weaknesses: major finishing issues, 26.9% missed tackle rate in college. Struggles to break down on the move and stay under control as a tackler, too many flyby misses. Move-to-move sequencing as a pass rusher is still in the developmental phase, can get caught upright at times, and spends too much time hand fighting, leaving him late to react to the run. Basement level sack production, 4.5 sacks on 680 career pass rush snaps. That's terrible. I don't love that. Hopefully the Bears aren't getting too stuck on him with their top 30 visit. We'll have to wait and see. So, summary: 1-year starter at Texas A&M. Stewart lined up primarily as an edge rusher and head coach Mike Elko's 4-man front, also spending time head up over the tackle and inside over the B gap. He's the type of prospect who will test the traits over production slogan that NFL teams subscribe to, and he never had more than 1.5 sacks in any of his 3 seasons in College Station. However, his tape shows a far more disruptive player. He led the Aggies in pressure, 39 in 2024. Stewart explodes out of his stance and is capable of creating immediate knockbacks or winning high side with the upfield burst flexibility. His countermeasures require maintenance, although he finds a lot of success based on the initial swipe or a long arm move. The number one area in which he needs to improve is as a finisher. He has the athleticism to get the ball, but has no business missing as many tackles as he does, especially given his power and movements. Overall, Stewart needs to maintain his rush efficiency and finishing skills, but he has a rare combination of talent and motor to be a game wrecker against both the pass and the run. His best football is ahead of him. It's easy to say that, but you don't know that. So this is one that gives Bears fans concern, and I can understand it. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Overall, ranked 9th. You cannot deny that the Bears are interested and that he is an option, like it or not. And I think there's more that don't like this than do. So, all right, last one on our top 5, the ones the Bears have been interested in. And it's one that I'm becoming more enamored with, but I do have concerns about the size. Really more of a 3-4 scheme fit, in my opinion. 6'1", 243 pounds, Jalon Walker out of Georgia, and the Bears met extensively. That was the verbiage that was used extensively at his pro day. They met with him, talked with him. They got a gauge on him, interest in him. Who knows what the Bears are going to do, but Jalon Walker is definitely an option for the Bears. You see, Dane Brugler has him as his number 2 defensive end. Of course, we know the number 1 is Abdul Carter, but number 2. And overall rank consensus 18.6. ESPN has him all the way up at 6. Todd McShay at 7. Mock draft database at 10. On and on down. Not really anybody outside of the first round here for Jalon Walker. And if they are out of the first round, I do question it. But I don't know if he's a scheme fit for the Bears. The Bears are clearly interested in him, though. So he's got good pressure, really good pressure. That's what you're excited about with him, though. 34 total pressures and 195 pass rush opportunities. 26 last year and 124 opportunities. 13 and 64 the year before. It's consistent, and he is a good pass rusher. He gets off really, really well. So same thing with him. We'll bring up the film, and we'll bring up the Beast article. Get that started. And all right, Jalon Walker, they will rave about him. There's a lot to see here. A little undersized for me, 6'1", 243. More of the same thing. Is he linebacker? Is he a defensive end? They're classifying him as an edge, and I tend to agree, but he's going to be more of that smaller edge who wants to be used as a utility knife. He even says in here that he likes to be a weapon on defense. So he likes to have different things. So very talented, very high character. Everything you read through here, it's very detailed. So you'll see a lot of good things on him. 4th ranked prospect at linebacker coming out of his class in 2022. Multiple sport athlete. All the things that you see on these guys that give them, those intangibles. He did really, really well. You can see here, track athlete, basketball athlete, triple jump, discus, long jump, slam dunk contest participants. You can read through that if you want to. There's a lot in there. I'll tell you, there's a lot. But that's what the Beast does well. So we're just trying to condense this a little bit. We're going to get to the strengths and weaknesses. Right off the bat, strengths. Long cut up physique and fills out his uniform well. Twitched up and loose jointed athlete who can turn the corner. He is an athlete. When you watch him, he's absolutely an athlete. So he's fun to watch. Displays promising feel for rush angles to leverage gaps. Rushes with forward lean and power in his hips to uproot and drive blockers backwards. Flashes violence in his hands to swipe away a reach of blockers. Easy weight transfer in change of direction. Skillfully uses his long levers to stack and shed blockers in space. Efficient in working the edge and staying underneath run blocks. Shows off explosive closing speed as a spy and when chasing backside in the run game. Experienced box player with coverage snaps over the slot. Blocked punt in 2022 and played on punt coverage in 2024. Chosen to represent Georgia on SEC Leadership Council in 2023. Son of a coach. Georgia coaches praised his character. Kirby Smart said, "You're not going to find a higher quality kid in any organization. He is unbelievable in what he stands for and what he represents and how he works." His weaknesses, as we talked about, undersized for regular edge work by NFL standards, will struggle at times against bigger bodies at point of attack, works his hands and feet in coordination, but rush creativity is still in developmental phase. 2 offside penalties. This is kind of funny. I mean, if you're nitpicking this far to find weakness, they're just trying to find some weaknesses. 2 offside penalties in 2024, including a costly flag on 4th and 1 on the 2024 Notre Dame tape. 2. They're talking about 2 penalties. That's not like it's a penalty every game. I don't know. Anyways. Gets impatient at times fitting up the run, below average anticipation and coverage, needs to see things quicker on basic tight end and running back routes. Played in all 43 games. Past 3 seasons, but missed 2023 spring practices because of his labrum surgery. His summary: a 1-year starter at Georgia, Walker played a hybrid linebacker role, mostly 2-point stance in head coach Kirby Smart's scheme, splitting his snaps between inside linebacker, outside linebacker, and edge rusher. Walker says, "I am at my best being a chess piece." His role and production increased each of the past 3 seasons and led the Bulldogs in almost every pass rushing metric in 2024, including pressures, 34 of them, pass rush win percentage, 17.2%, despite ranking 7th on the team in pass rush snaps. So he did more with less opportunity. As a blitzer or wide rusher, Walker can be stonewalled at times, but his arc speed and length can be weaponized as a pass rusher. He is a tremendous space athlete and covers a ton of ground with his fluid change of direction. He plays with the range and physicality to work through the trash and make plays near the line of scrimmage, although offenses know how to occupy his eyes and get him out of position in coverage. Overall, Walker doesn't have elite size for edge work, but he is at his best using his long, sleek athleticism to explode downhill and close at the top of his rush to affect the quarterback. There is a projection involved with his evaluation, but his pass rush upside and overall versatility make him one of the best talents in this class. Overall ranked number 5 as their projection for him.
Jalon Walker, very highly ranked. Some people are even comparing him in the same range as Abdul Carter. I don't think they're even in the same category. I think it's a definite step down, but his production has given him the right to be able to be ranked up in the same area. So as far as we know, the Bears have not met with any other defensive ends other than the very top of this draft. That bodes well, guys, for the Bears likely taking one of these top prospects, right? Likely going edge early. We've got to take an edge in this class. And the fact that they've met with these no prospect lower than 36 at the combine or in top 30 visits screams to me that they are planning on taking an edge at the top of this draft, somewhere at the top of this draft. So to round it out, here's Dane Brugler's final rankings, his top 10 rankings. You got Abdul Carter, Penn State, number 1, Jalon Walker, Georgia, number 2, Shemar Stewart, Texas A&M, number 3, Mike Green, Marshall, number 4, Mykel Williams, Georgia, number 5, Donovan Iziraku, Boston College, number 6, James Pierce Jr., Tennessee, number 7, JT Tumalu, Ohio State, number 8, Landon Jackson, Arkansas, number 9, Jordan Birch, Oregon, number 10. And honestly, I would be good with the Bears taking almost any one of these guys. This is really my big board. This is how I like it as well. I think I'm less high on Shemar Stewart because of his production, Mike Green and Donovan Iziraku and James Pierce for size, but honestly, any one of them I would probably be good with. I just don't, I'd rather have it be at 39 or 41 than at 10, but I'm just getting nitpicky now. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in. It means a lot to me to be able to have this channel and have you guys be a part of it. If you don't mind hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button, notifications, get all that going on, trying to grow it a little bit quicker. We went through the quick, and then Bears fans have kind of gotten a little bit lulled here before the draft. It's going to pick up right before the draft, though. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in, being a part of it, being a part of this community, and helping me to grow this thing, trying to put as much good information and content out there for you guys as possible. So with that, appreciate it. The Bears and Bear Down.